Hello everybody and welcome here to Rio Grande Credit Union Field at Isotopes Park. It's the regular season finale, round 4 between these Mountain Division opponents. It's New Mexico United and Real Monarchs. Tonight's match is presented by Sandia Resort and Casino, close to home, far from ordinary. My name is Tyler Ortega, joined tonight by Chris Hurst. And Chris, it all comes down to this for the black and yellow tonight. They need a win, and they need some help from their good friends down in El Paso to keep the season alive.
I definitely think that's the first time they've been called that, if you ask any New Mexico United fans. But yeah, it feels like rinse and repeat. The biggest game of the season for New Mexico United.
Let's go ahead and have a look here at tonight's players to watch, brought to you by Lumen Optimal Wellness. Enjoy a healthier body and mind today. Starting first here, Chris, for New Mexico, it's Chris Wehan. He scored the last time these two teams met right here on this pitch.
Yeah, where would New Mexico United be without Chris Wehan? 8 goals since he joined, 12 total for the season, missed the first 17 games. It does really beg the question, where would New Mexico be? Would tonight's game be that important if he hadn't joined mid-season?
On the other side here for Real Monarchs, we're going to be keeping an eye on number 45. It's Kyle Adams out of Auckland, New Zealand. He's played nearly every single match for Real Monarchs this year, Chris.
Yeah, most minutes played, leads the team in interceptions, blocks, clearances, aerial duels won. He is the rock that tries to hold the back line together for Real Monarchs.
The 2021 New Mexico United season also presented by Sandia Resort and Casino. We're going to step aside for just a moment. We'll have lineups and kickoff when we return.
B-Dub's new crispy hand-breaded classic chicken sandwich plus fries for $5.99 is made live in a real-life sports bar with live non-virtual friends. This is real life. So real it's $5.99 for a limited time. Buffalo Wild Wings.
In the 2019 Reader's Choice Awards from the Albuquerque Journal, Sandia Resort and Casino was voted Albuquerque's favorite casino. Best customer service, best entertainment venue, best slot machines and poker room, best variety of table games, best rewards program, and best golf course. Best buffet, favorite nightclub, favorite casino. Albuquerque, you deserve the best. Sandia Resort and Casino, close to home, far from ordinary.
I'm not a passenger. I'm a pilot.
In training?
Yeah, in training. My dad taught me to fly. To fire the burner, read the wind, and plot a course over our home, the land of enchantment.
Crew is just getting started. Head to B-Dubs for 50% off this loaded lineup of tots, chips, and ultimate nachos. But wait, how's beer for just $3? There's officially something for everyone, even that friend whose curfew is 10 p.m. Late night at Buffalo Wild Wings.
Back here at the lab, a sellout expected tonight, the regular season finale, as we mentioned, New Mexico with everything to play for. Let's go ahead and jump into tonight's starting lineups presented by Michelob Ultra. We'll start first with the black and yellow. Between the sticks, the Greek, Alex Tambachis. We see a back four for Troy Lesane, Kalen Ryden, Rashid Tete anchoring. We see Guzman Tenari in the midfield. Ilya Illich leading the line with Wehan, Bruce, and Rivas behind him.
Yeah, it's going to be really interesting to see how they actually line up. Is it a back three? Is it a back four? Wait and see in the first few minutes of the game here.
On the other side here for Real Monarchs now, it's the teenager, Jeff Duznup, who had a huge penalty save on this field the last time these two teams met against Devin Sandoval. We mentioned Kyle Adams in the pregame. We see Johnson, Flores, Orozco, Wehan. Can't forget about him. He scored the last time these guys were here.
The battle of the Wehan brothers, right? Like that's the talk of the town other than the playoff push down here. It's going to be real interesting as well to see what kind of mentality Real Monarchs come out the gate with tonight.
These are your Garcia Automotive Group keys to the game. For New Mexico, make progressive passes and runs to initiate attacks, shut down counterattacks, and attack rotations to create chances. This is your Ben Sherman Law injury report. Injured at work, Ben Sherman can help. 3 names on there for New Mexico: Harry Swartz, Devin Sandoval, and Armando Moreno. So in the center circle, this is Max Mata for Real Monarchs to get things started, and we are underway. This is the 2021 USL Championship regular season finale. Starting things off quickly here as Monarchs on the attack. That was Johnson playing the cross into Alex Tambachis. Here's Rashid Tete, the Ghanaian. Back to Yearwood. You can see where the sun is just setting behind the stadium here. As a little bit more than half of the pitch is in the shade, and it's going to be a little bit tough here on the near side with the players peering back across to the west. And that long ball goes to Austin Yearwood, and you can tell just having a little bit of issue with how bright the sun is. This is going to be a throw in here for Real Monarchs. It's Daniel Flores. Lays it up to Mata. Loose ball, Guzman still poking around. Guzman goes to ground, no foul called. Here's Weehan, has that poked away by Tete. Charlie Weehan, that is. Yes, he is the brother of one Chris Weehan. This is the second installment of the Battle of the Brothers Weehan edition. It was New Mexico victorious in the prior installment right here on this field. September 18th, New Mexico 2, Real Monarchs 1. Scoring for the black and yellow is Armando Moreno, the 48th minute, and then Chris Weehan adding the insurance goal in the 80th minute. On the other side, on the score sheet for Real Monarchs, it was Charlie Weehan in the 50th minute.
It's a little concerning to start off with. We were just talking about how the injury report has gone down for New Mexico United. You know, like getting Sam Hamilton back in the mix with the 18. Huge boost for the guys for this last game here. But Juan Pablo Guzman, I think that is, there down there, and he looks like he's checking out his knee. And very early in the game, I didn't see any contact, and that will be a concern for New Mexico United. Very early in this game here.
Yeah, big concern. We know already about the injury woes for New Mexico. Armando Moreno out probably the next 8 months with a torn ACL. Devin Sandoval missing this regular season finale as he deals with some medical issues. Harry Swartz unable to make his way back from the sports hernia surgery that he had earlier this year. So Guzman is up. He's walking under his own power. That's the head athletic trainer for New Mexico, Tyler Harris. They're next to him. We'll get back underway. It's a throw in here for Monarchs, but New Mexico were the ones that played it out. So in a good show of sportsmanship, Monarchs play it back to the black and yellow. It's going to be a throw in here for New Mexico. This is Austin Yearwood, the Charlotte native, High Point University. Illich tried to flick that one on. Weehan plays the ball forward looking for Mata. Goes to ground as Kalen Ryden wins the challenge. Ryden so strong defensively for this New Mexico side. So it's looking like a back three here for Real Monarchs, Chris.
Yeah, back three with Sam Brown sitting just in front of them. Halsey's kind of drifting between, trying to join in the attack, but definitely, when New Mexico United have good possession, he's sitting in next to Sam Brown as well. back three becomes a back five pretty quickly. Johnson is definitely took it in. Nice and close there to the back three as well there. So yeah, it's again really interesting to see whether Real Monarchs come here and have a go, whether they sit back and try and be the party poopers, I guess, for the hopeful promotion push for the home side. One of the biggest things, and the keys to the game that you spoke about earlier, one that has to be added is New Mexico United. I'm sure Coach Lassane talked to the guys about it before the game, is play the game, not the occasion. They can't control what happens later on down in El Paso, down there. Can't control that. Play the game, not the occasion. Like, there could be a lot of nerves. There is a lot on the line tonight, but they have to take care of what they can control.
Yeah, and that's something that we heard from these guys in yesterday's press conference, notably Kalen Ryden, and I think his exact quote was, "Control the controllables." Right? Worry about what you can do. And initially, as we touched on, New Mexico, they need to win here today. At the end of the day, they need a win. And they're playing for their playoff lives, despite what's going to happen later. None of that's going to matter if they don't win here.
Exactly, and that is the disappointing thing for New Mexico United. They spent so long trying to get this playoff race in their own hands, and last week's result against RGV really snatched that away. The goal differential took a hit, and it really is a win or bust tonight.
Suggs unable to keep that one in over on the far side as the flag goes up from the AR. Our officials tonight, we have Eligio Araguin controlling the match on the pitch. Our ARs on the sides are Seth Martin and Kevin Sanchez, and our fourth official, Christian Campo. So big thanks to our officials. If they didn't do what they do, we would not be able to do what we do. Here comes the break here. Played back by Torres. And what a slide challenge there from Andrew Tenari. Mata thought that he had that one. And it's the tenacity of Andrew Tenari shining through once again.
Yeah, so while that was going on, I'm just trying to watch Juan Pablo Guzman, see how he's moving. He's definitely not moving as freely as you might imagine. He would be this early on in the game. Salim Mohammed, I think it is, we can see over there warming up. He's going through a pretty intense warm-up over there, so it might be an early change here. I know Moreno talking about his ACL injury. He obviously played on for quite a while after the incident that I believe caused the damage. So I know they were checking his knee. Hopefully there's nothing too sinister in there.
The curse in full voice tonight. It's a sold-out supporters section here at the Lab. You can see the curse. The other supporters groups that are part of that, the Black Diamonds, Sector 114, the Set Piece Ultras, La Maldición. Apologize if I'm leaving anybody out, but what a supporters culture that has been developed here in Albuquerque. As Ryden has to charge up and clear that one away. It was Charlie Weehan waiting to pounce. Guzman now goes to the elder Weehan. It's Chris. Perhaps you can see New Mexico just a little hesitant on playing here on this near side due to the effect of the sunset. Suggs crosses this one in. It was headed away by Orozco.
See, maybe there was a little bit of nerves in. There was a loose pass out to Tenari. He had to work really hard to keep it in. Then a under-hit pass into Ryden where he had to clear it under a bit of pressure there. Followed up by some decent possession by New Mexico United. This is where they need to play on the field. They need to try and play in the attacking third here, at least in the midfield third. Less passes around the back. Get on the front studs. Try and get at Real Monarchs as quickly as they can here. Settle any nerves they might have.
This is Malik Johnson. There's Kalen Ryden now. So we mentioned it, New Mexico needing some help from El Paso. As RGV control their own destiny, regardless of what happens here between United and Monarchs. If RGV are able to beat El Paso tonight, they're in. You'll want to keep an eye on that game. It kicks off in what? A little bit over an hour, I believe.
Yeah, and I know how big the US is and how that creates all kind of issues with times and things, but there has to be a way where surely games on the final season was so much riding on those games that the games could kick off at the same time. Like RGV, knowing what they need to do going into that game, pretty much, at least by halftime, they'll for sure know what they need to do. That's a huge advantage to RGV.
On the other side, for El Paso, as Yearwood fizzes this one in and it goes across the face of goal. Rivas was unable to connect with that one. But as we were speaking about that one, El Paso, they have something to play for tonight. If they're able to win that match against RGV, and if Phoenix lose in the nightcap, then the Locos will actually get the #1 overall seed in the Western Conference, and that means home field advantage should they reach the conference final. So, even though RGV may know what they need to do, they're going to be going up against a really, really good El Paso side that's going to be looking for a win.
Yeah, for sure. And all they can do is, for El Paso, if you're El Paso, is put the pressure on Phoenix Rising in the later game. Like you said, the later kickoff there, and put the pressure on them, make sure they know that they have to go and win that game to guarantee that they get home field throughout the playoffs as well.
This is Orozco. Plays it back to Kyle Adams. Adams, we mentioned, out of Auckland, New Zealand. Not the only one on the pitch from the capital of New Zealand. Look no further than number 63, Max Mata, the forward for Real Monarchs, also out of Auckland, New Zealand. Played 2015, 2016 for the Wellington Phoenix Reserves. And he also became the youngest player. We'll pause on that as Yearwood plays the cross in. Deucenup comes out to gather. Mata was the youngest player in ASB Premiership to score in a competitive match at just 15 years old. Wow. Going on the run, that was Torres. Lays it off now, Flores. Flores finds Wehan. Top of the 18. Here's Mata. Max Mata still has it poked away now by Juan Pablo Guzman.
And that was an opening there for Real Monarchs. A little warning shot for New Mexico United as they break here.
Wehan flagged for offside.
But I think Wehan, Charlie Wehan, I think had the opportunity to pull the trigger. He decided to square it to Mata. And Mata, so I think Wehan could have hit it with his right foot. So he decided to square it to Mata. Mata, instead of hitting it with his left foot, decided to try and take a touch and maybe try and work an opening on the other side. Yeah, so I think there was an opening there. Maybe more confident, a confident player there might have just had a shot there and see what, at least test Tambachis in the early stages here.
Tambachis has been just absolutely huge for New Mexico this season. Tambachis comes in. He's conceded 36 goals in 30 appearances. And he's got 7 clean sheets to go along with it. Tenari pokes that one away. And then Illich is dispossessed by Flores. Bruce lets that one roll. Bruce plays it in, and it's cleared away by Kyle Adams. Header by Yearwood. Nobody there. It's going to be a goal kick for the 17-year-old Jeff Deucenup.
Great win by Austin Yearwood there. No nonsense, old-fashioned defending. Just deal with the ball and not worry about anything else. Interesting. A few times that New Mexico United have had the ball in those wide areas, they put very early deliveries into the 18-yard box there. So maybe that's something that they've seen as a weakness.
As this one has to be cleared away by Deucenup. Here's Yearwood, plays the cross back in, and it falls to Rivas. Sergio Rivas! And they're going to say he's called for the handball inside the 18. New Mexico with a big opportunity there.
A big opportunity, and it was created by Real Monarchs being a little clumsy and trying to play out from the back there. I believe it was keeper played it into Adams there, and he's just a little sluggish and didn't realise that New Mexico United had gone for the high press there, and Chris Wehan and Illich managed to steal the ball. First chance was dealt with, pops out to Rivas, and yeah, maybe Rivas uses his hand to control it, and then I think Dusnup, he actually got a hand to it and saved it as well, which is a great save. He didn't know it was going to be called for handball. That was a great save.
Yeah, I agree. Dusnup had nobody marking Rivas there. Here's Tenari now. Tenari plays the long ball looking for Daniel Bruce over the top, but Dusnup snatches that one out of the sky like a wide receiver. That neon keeper kit that he's wearing kind of looks like those Seahawks uniforms.
The highlighter.
Well, the good thing is that if we have a power outage tonight, we'll know exactly where Jeff Dusnup is. Sete boots this one forward. Great touch from the Serbian. Ilija Ilić plays Rivas through, and Dusnup comes out to gather that one. Had to time that perfectly, and he did. The 17-year-old Jeff Dusnup already having to make some big plays.
Yeah, he's definitely been the busier of the two goalkeepers early on here.
That's Troy Lesane, the gaffer, third season at the helm of New Mexico United. He's got 43 points through 31 games played this season. Here's Illich, finds Bruce. Here's Daniel Bruce. Daniel Bruce to Chris Wehan, and New Mexico take the lead. And as of right now, the black and yellow in the playoff spots.
It's been coming. You can't say it hasn't. New Mexico United have been asking a lot of questions of Real Monarchs the last 5, 6, 7 minutes there. Great drive and run by Daniel Bruce. Just gets in behind. Very unselfish. Thought he could have took the shot himself. Very unselfish. Saw the run of Chris Wehan. Slotted it across. Chris Wehan doesn't miss chances like that. Slots it into an empty net. There was a slight question about offside. First thing Chris Wehan did was look across at the AR to see if he was offside. But great first touch by Bruce there. Just takes the defender out of the play. Great ball across. There was a question. All the defenders, the reaction of the Real Monarchs defenders are offside. But again, if you want that ball to drop to anyone, it's Chris Wehan. He does not miss chances like that.
Replays brought to you by TLC. And that New Mexico United goal was scored by Chris Wehan. Goals are brought to you by T-Mobile. T-Mobile has Chris Wehan covered. I'll tell you what, nobody had Chris Wehan covered on that one. Wehan, that is his 27th goal in black and yellow. He is the club's all-time leading scorer in all competitions. That is his 9th goal of this season.
Tell you what, just watching that back, I know we don't really have a good angle to see, but everything indicates that that was very, very, very close. That maybe New Mexico United just got a little rub of the green there, because, yeah, I'd be asking questions if I was a Real Monarchs defender as well right now.
Since 1947, Select has been the leader in soccer ball quality and innovation. Select is the official ball supplier of the USL Championship and many of the elite leagues throughout Europe. For the latest Select products and special offers, please visit selectsportamerica.com. Here's Sergio Rivas, the hometown kid. Sergio Rivas still in possession. Play on, says the official. Tries to play Illich through and is ultimately dispossessed. Going to ground there, it looks like it was Torres. So the free kick coming up here for Real Monarchs. Chris Wehan. Death taxes Chris Wehan scoring, right? That's pretty much what it's like for New Mexico United fans nowadays. The magic minute here at the lab. Looks like we're at about 9,500 here this evening. New Mexico United have done some self-imposed capacity restrictions as Kyle Adams nearly gave that one away to Illich. But again, with those self-imposed capacity limitations, the max capacity still over 9,500. And I do believe if I had $1 to bet tonight, Chris, I'd bet that we hit that sellout tonight.
Yeah, this is the biggest crowd we've seen. This is the first time that really there's been some very odd kickoff times and just in terms of people's lives, school, things like that going on. So it's definitely the biggest crowd we've seen.
This is Mata, and what a defensive recovery from Kalen Ryden. He wins, or actually plays it out for the corner, ultimately blocking the shot. That is the Norman, Oklahoma native, Kalen Ryden, who Troy Lesesne has called the best center back in the league.
Yeah, he just goes with Mata stride for stride there, bides his time and picks the perfect moment to get the block in. He didn't want to go too early just in case Mata tries to cut it back onto his right foot there. Perfect timing by Ryden.
This is a Bank of America corner kick. Torres to deliver. Misses everybody there. Finds its way out the backside of the 18. Halsey plays that back. Here's Johnson now. Torres. Torres tried to cross, asking for the handball on Guzman, not going to get it. It's played back to the teenager, Jeff Duzna. This ball played long. This is Flores. Now Torres. And a sloppy giveaway, however, finds the feet of Halsey. Tries to play it through for Weehan, and it finds the arms of Alex Tambachis.
The Real Monarchs changed it up a little bit there. They were very much a keep the ball on the deck kind of team, and Adams pings a searching ball out on the left there to Flores, and brings it down. Decent ball back into the middle. Weehan just playing off the shoulder. Really feels weird saying that name, by the way. But Weehan playing off the shoulder of Tete there. And it was comfortable for Tambachis in the end.
Tambachis, we took you through his numbers earlier. In terms of goalkeeping, he's 7th overall in the league, not just in the Western Conference, but in the league with 81 saves. Fans, the excitement is just beginning. The 2021 USL Championship playoffs, presented by Twin Spires, begin Friday, November 5th. This is Josh Suggs with a quick step over and across. It's going to be out for a corner. Playoffs beginning Friday, November 5th, and they continue all weekend long. Who will take their next step towards glory? Find out next weekend right here on ESPN+. Again, Bank of America corner kick with over 4,600 locations. Convenient banking is just around the corner. Weehan having some words with the captain, Josh Suggs, there. We'll see if we see another set piece rehearsed, and no, it's just pinged to the near post looking for Rivas. Here's Suggs, the captain, Josh Suggs. Bruce crosses in, and the offside flag goes up here on the near side. So off of that offside, it is a Fiesta Auto Group free kick. Duznup comes into this match with 67 saves on this season for Real Monarchs as Guzman goes to ground. This ball given away. Here's Torres. Turns, spreads it for Flores now on the near side. Here's Flores. And both players pointing back and forth at each other, and ultimately it was Austin Yearwood that was correct.
I think it's because he jumped a little more than Flores did out there. He was very animated and making sure the referee bought his point on why it should be a goal kick instead of a corner, right?
So this is Alex Tambachis back for New Mexico United. 7 clean sheets on the year. That's good enough to be tied for 9th in the league. And when you look at just the Western Conference, he's tied for 5th. Here's Guzman. Kalen Ryden. Rivas has sunk deep into a left back role for United. Seems to have switched spots with Suggs. Here is Suggs. Back for Rivas. Rivas goes cross field with the delivery, drops it on a dime here on the near side for Austin Yearwood. And Yearwood tries to get by Daniel Flores, unsuccessful, so it's going to be a throw in here for the black and yellow.
The rotation with the New Mexico United players. Weehan has dropped into that little space, vacated by Suggs. Yearwood's bombing on, and Guzman has dropped into that space that he vacates as well. So they're definitely trying to get their midfielders dropping into those outside back positions, maybe trying to create the overload on those sides, or like you saw from Rivas there, just drawing Real Monarchs to one side of the field, then quickly pinging it out to the other.
That's Jamison Olave, the head coach for Real Monarchs. This long ball played forward, and the header is won by Kalen Ryden. Offside is the call anyway. Official's going to make him play it back. So Olave, former Colombian footballer. Colombian just like Juan Pablo Guzman. Here's Chris Weehan, still in possession. Rivas and plays that to nobody in black and yellow. That was directly to Flores. Here's Torres now. Moves it forward, but Tete is there. Salcedo wins the header. Johnson. There's Charlie Weehan. Tried to play the run of Mata. Might have had a chance if he placed the ball where it needed to be. Talking about Colombians, Kevin Salcedo, the center back for Real Monarchs, plays for the U20 Colombian national team. He's a big figure on that back line. He's one-on-one against Daniel Bruce now. Bruce crosses. Goes across the box for Tenari, chests it down. Andrew Tenari showing off some dance moves. Cross played in, and it's met by Salcedo. There's Austin Yearwood now. Daniel Bruce, the Englishman. Bruce, miscommunication there with Sergio Rivas.
You definitely see this is something that New Mexico United have worked on. It's not, we spoke about it briefly just a few minutes ago, on the left-hand side there, and Austin Yearwood and Daniel Bruce pretty much have the run of the place on the right-hand side there. So getting that early switch, seeing Real Monarchs collapse to one side, and then pinging it out the other side, trying to attack them on the weak side there.
There, as you can see, an absolutely gorgeous day for some football here in Albuquerque. Mid-70s. Low humidity, not a cloud in the sky, Chris. We've been treated to a few extra warm days down here in Albuquerque. Here's Illich. Tenari turns that one over.
I don't know if it's getting picked up on the cameras, but there's an awful lot of sand on the pitch. Every time the ball's skipping, or when players are trying to stop very suddenly, there's just a lot of sand kicking up off there.
Here come Monarchs. Playing it down. This is Johnson now. Heavy first touch from Malik Johnson, and ultimately, that's what did him in. Wins the corner anyway off of Suggs.
Yeah, Johnson will be disappointed there. That was a huge opening for Monarchs there. New Mexico United was struggling numbers-wise, and just a heavy, heavy first touch by Johnson gave Suggs the opportunity he needed to just nip in there and poke the ball out for a corner.
So this is Torres here to take the corner. Leo Torres plays the in-swinger, and it's headed out by Sergio Rivas at the back post. And the long distance shot attempt there from Sam Brown goes wide.
It was a collective holding of breath there, right? When that deflection happened, from our vantage point, we couldn't tell which direction it was going. Could have really gone anywhere.
Galen Ryden, of course, playing against his former club. He was a USL champion with Real Monarchs in 2019. Recalled playing at the lab for Real Monarchs in that year. It was a 5-2 beatdown at the hands of the black and yellow. And he said experiencing that kind of game day is one of the reasons why I came here. To be on the other side of that.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, and obviously, you know, his first year here, along with Armando Moreno, a few other guys, David Nager, a few other guys, they didn't get to experience it for obvious reasons, you know, where all the home game, well, all the games, the one home game we did have was in Colorado Springs. But yeah, so it's great for those guys being able to experience it this year. And, you know, final game of the season, I guess the one thing, while there's certain games that have gone, you know, a way that New Mexico United would not be happy with, I guess all you can really ask for is coming to the last game of the season and still being in with a shout, still being in the mix, still playing for something.
Suggs finds Bruce, who switched sides. Daniel Bruce, heavy touch there from the veteran Josh Suggs. So into the 33rd minute we are. Tyler Ortega, Chris Hurst here on ESPN Plus, or if you're watching throughout the state of New Mexico on Estrella TV. Thanks for hanging out with us. This is the 2021 USL Championship regular season finale. New Mexico need a win, and they also need some help from El Paso Locomotive later on this evening if they're to see their season continue. Well, so far so good if you're the black and yellow. Out to a 1-0 lead, Chris Wehan in the 17th minute, tapping home from Daniel Bruce. The RGV El Paso game will be kicking off in just under an hour. So if there's any New Mexico fans that are out there watching this, as scheduled to start at 6:30 p.m. Mountain Time. So if you're streaming this, you want to pull that other game up on your phone, on your second screen, whatever the case is. This ball chipped forward for Yearwood. Yearwood tried to wrap his foot around that, just unsuccessful.
Yeah, it's, I mean, Austin Yearwood and Josh Suggs have got a lot of license to get forward. Ryden and Tete just holding things down at the back with Guzman sitting in front of them. The rotation in New Mexico really is quite impressive tonight. Rivas and Bruce are switching sides either side of Illich. Wehan's popping up in the left back role and the right back role to start attacks from there. It's certainly, obviously, like I say, something that has been worked on in training this week, and they are finding a lot of space with it.
And Daniel Bruce goes to ground, trying to get up. He does. Johnson still on the ground. Here's Chris Wehan. New Mexico play on. Here's Suggs now. Josh Suggs. Suggs with the left-footed rocket. And it's parried away by the 17-year-old Jeff Dusnup. And we remain 1-0 to New Mexico.
It's a great save. Josh Suggs got all of that shot there, and you could see Dusnup, he started leaning to his left, thinking Suggs was going to go across him. and just he absolutely rifles it. And that, we had the perfect angle from behind that. It was going in the top corner there. Absolute rocket. Great save.
So this, another Bank of America corner kick for New Mexico. Sent in by Chris Wehan, looking far post, goes over everybody. It'll be a goal kick for Dusnup. And you know, Chris, for Jeff Dusnup, I don't think it's long until we see him either playing in the MLS, or we often see those headlines as far as transfers to these clubs in Europe. Now, I haven't heard anything official, but the way that this 17-year-old Jeff Dusnup has performed this season, it's been great.
And that's part of this whole Real Monarchs 2.0, you know, their philosophy this year. It's been something, obviously, they've stuck to. I mean, you know, in terms of results on the field, only 5 wins so far this season. You know, 20 losses, that's tough to take. But while during the season it's been disappointing, the experience these young players have got playing men's soccer, because playing in the academies and playing U23 and things like that, it's just not the same as playing against people who are playing for their livelihood.
Right.
And that experience is absolutely unbelievable. But coming into this game, you know, when you speak to people around the soccer world, they're like, who do New Mexico United play? Oh, they play Real Monarchs. Oh, they should win that. Then it's up to... But this has not been a gimme game for New Mexico United all this season. Oh, it was the 2-1 last time out, 1-0. One of the 5 wins that Salt Lake was against New Mexico United.
Yeah, I mean, looking at these matchups throughout the season, you hit the nail on the head. Each game has been decided by 1 goal. And that was going back to the first one, the first 2 matches taking place out at Zions Bank Stadium in Harriman. And it was Monarchs dropping the first one, New Mexico winning 1-0. That was off the free kick that somehow found its way into the back of the net from Chelo Martinez. And then the one you were referencing, when Phil Beigel made his first start for New Mexico. Monarchs victorious in that one, 3-2. And then the thriller we saw here at the Lab just over a month ago with Chris Wehan sealing the coffin shut in the 80th minute. And then going back to, you know, the point that you were saying, just the experience they're getting. You're not going to be able to go up against a Kalen Ryden, who is potentially one of the best center backs in the league when you're playing these U23s, these academy games. You're not going to be going up against strikers like Amando Moreno that are representing countries in World Cup qualifiers. That experience is just something that can't be taught.
100%. And, you know, one game, you were talking about the Phil Beigel making his professional debut there, that game on June 30th. New Mexico United were up 2-0.
Yep. So
I don't think, no matter what happened, like 1-0, New Mexico United are not comfortable right now. If it goes 2-0, they will not be comfortable, because they were up 2-0 in that game, and Real Monarchs got 3 unanswered goals to win that one 3-2.
Yeah, and you know, going back to what we're seeing right now, is that one nearly given away by Tenari. And Charlie Wehan wishing it's perhaps a couple inches taller, as he would have been through on goal one-on-one with Tambachis. But you can see just in the way New Mexico are playing right now, Chris, they don't look comfortable, and they're definitely on the hunt for another at least goal, maybe 2.
Yeah, it's that nervy's a word you could use, right? It's definitely very nervy. Very, everyone's very worried about or trying not to make a mistake, which inevitably leads to mistakes. So, yeah, it's definitely not as free-flowing as what we're maybe used to seeing from New Mexico United.
It's Torres. Plays that one out, does Leo Torres. Fans can't watch the match? Turn on SiriusXM FC 157, North America's only 24/7 source of soccer radio, featuring Ray Hudson, Tony Miola, Rodney Marsh, and USL All Access with Mike Watts and our buddy Devin Kerr. Every Tuesday night, 7 p.m. Eastern. You can also hear live action from the USL, MLS, Premier League, and more. All on SiriusXM FC 157 and the SXM app. Torres battling in the midfield there with some of the black and yellow, and ultimately a little too much on that one for Charlie Wehan.
Troy Lesane is hot in the technical area right now. He was not happy. I think he felt that maybe New Mexico United were a little soft in the tackle there.
Here's Wehan, Charlie Wehan, and saved by Tambachis, but it's tapped in by by Max Mata, and Real Monarchs have equalized here in the 40th minute. And New Mexico with some work to do if they want their season to continue.
And I guess there you can see why Troy Lesane was so unhappy with the midfield duel being lost there. I think it was Tenari or Guzman who lost it initially. Goes out for a throw-in, pops out to Wehan. Same as the last home game. A deflected goal, like a second chance goal. Shot in from Wehan, had a lot of power behind it. Tambachis just couldn't gather it there. So I think it just bounces right in front of Tambachis. It just bounces in front of him. And Mata's just the first one to react there. Tete just didn't follow it in. Assumed that Tambachis was going to gather that there. There was a little deflection, it looks like, maybe on Wehan's shot that took it. Just made it a little more difficult for Tambachis there.
Well, and that certainly changes the halftime talk if you're Troy Lesane. I mean, already you were saying just moments before that goal that he was not very happy in the technical area. Can't imagine that goal changed anything as Tenari called for the foul now.
We were just saying about how it definitely didn't have the feel of New Mexico United being in control. You can tell that there's a little atmosphere with the fans where every mistake there's a little groan. You can see the body language of the players. They just weren't comfortable. They just weren't comfortable with the way the game was going at that point. And that goal came at a great time for Real Monarchs, an absolutely awful time for New Mexico United.
So 1-1. Max Mata, Chris Wehan, your goal scorers here today. With that, New Mexico slide right back down below the playoff line. It's Troy Lesane rocking the black and white suit tonight. This is a black tie affair, Chris. Where's your tie at?
So I didn't get the memo, sorry.
It's been a fun season, I will say. The matches that you did join me for. Just kidding. Just kidding.
You make it sound like I don't have a full-time job.
Oh man, this has been a lot of fun. I know we were actually supposed to do this starting last season in 2020. Obviously, New Mexico didn't play any home games last season, so this has been our first full season in the booth together. It's been a lot of fun.
Last season set us up, but we got to bond on 2 road trips up to Colorado Springs to do games, right? So work out real quick if we like each other a 12-hour car ride.
Tenari going to be whistled for the foul again. He's got to be careful. That's 2 in the past couple of minutes. And now the official just stepping in. Tenari had some choice words there for Brett Halsey.
And again, going back, I think, and I'm not certain, I would need to see the replay, but I think it was Tenari who maybe lost that battle in midfield. So maybe this is a residual from there, where now he's a little fired up because, you know, they didn't win the duel leading up to the goal there. And like you said, there's been two in the last 90 seconds. So the referee just trying to keep a lid on it. Still having words though.
And Tenari, he's a New Yorker, right? And we know the temperatures that they can get. And I'm sure Tenari just having some pleasantries to exchange there with Halsey. This is Kalen Ryden. Ryden deciding to plant some roots here in Albuquerque. And his wife Jade just closed on a house this week. That's great news if you're a New Mexico United fan. Also, big congratulations going out to the Rydens. You know, if I remember correctly, Kalen Ryden actually signed his New Mexico United contract on his wedding night in his tuxedo. That tells you just how important this is to him. So into the 45th minute. Here's Austin Yearwood, plays it forward for Illich. Back to Wehan. New Mexico could really use a goal right now. This is Daniel Bruce, one-on-one with Johnson. Bruce crosses in, and skips off of Dusnup, and it's going to be a corner kick for New Mexico. As we have been notified that there are 2 minutes of New Mexico Piñon coffee stoppage time. Great coffee, Chris, is a matter of a piñon. Bank of America corner kick. Weehan and Tenari. The right and left. And it's Weehan playing this one in. Headed away by Adams, and he goes to ground. Kalen Ryden crashing into him. Ryden not very excited with that call. Of course, typically not excited if you're on the wrong end of a foul call.
That was a heavy collision there. I think Adams just did really well. He actually just got up early, so Ryden really had no choice but to either just let him have it or clatter into him, and he decided the latter.
This is Dusnup. We are almost 30 seconds into the allotted 2 minutes of first half stoppage time. Here's Ryden. Illich giving chase to that one, played out by Adams. I mean, Kalen Ryden, when he comes crashing into your back, going back to that last play, 6'2", 200 pounds. So I can't imagine very many people would be able to stay on their feet.
No, you'll know about it, that's for sure.
Suggs taking a bit of a rest there on some of the field signage before the throw-in. Throw-in goes in, bouncing around. Tenari goes down, and pointing to the spot is the official. New Mexico have a penalty kick here in stoppage time of the first half.
Real Monarchs are arguing, but I think from our vantage point here, that is a stonewall penalty. Tenari does really well. He just gets his foot in front of the defender there. As the ball pops out, he just gets his body there and just invites the challenge. He just steps across his line, invites the challenge, gets a touch on the ball. Yeah, absolute stonewall penalty.
And there, on the pitch, the Monarchs players are facing directly at the Jumbotron, so they just saw the replay. And at the spot, it's Chris Weehan looking to add to his total. Chris Weehan, the club's all-time leading scorer. Weehan tucks it away, and New Mexico take the lead. Just before halftime, it's Chris Weehan, the OC native, and New Mexico back above the playoff line now.
The roller coaster continues. Chris Weehan, Dusnup guesses the right way there, but there's just too much power on it right in the bottom corner. If Weehan had mishit that ever so slightly and put it just a little bit off the post, Dusnup would have got there. He really did go the right way, and he went early as well. So Weehan, great PK. Huge amount of pressure on his shoulders there as well.
Chris Weehan, the leading scorer in New Mexico United history, adding to his tally. That is a brace for Bees. And we've reached halftime. Dramatic fashion, that first half had it all, Chris. New Mexico took the lead, answered back by Monarchs in the 40th minute, but Weehan will not be denied, putting New Mexico on top.
He said the Real Monarchs goal was at an awful time for New Mexico United, but what a tonic that PK was for New Mexico United right before halftime, right on the stroke. Last kick of the half changes the halftime team talk again.
We've reached halftime. Halftime is presented by Smith's, fresh for everyone. I understand we have a couple of highlights to take a look at before we get out of here. That was the first goal, tapped home by Weehan, as that saw New Mexico United go ahead in the 17th minute, but answering back, his brother Charlie Weehan with the shot. It ricochets off of Alex Tambachis, and Max Mata able to tie things up. But then again, just before the stroke of halftime, Bees putting New Mexico on top.
trying to make this thing work. It works! Yeah, let's go!
For over 50 years, BIOS has been proudly serving New Mexico. We love being a part of this community and the New Mexico United family, and helping everyone from homeowners to home builders create a space that's both beautiful and practical. Shopping local is about more than getting a great deal. It's about supporting your community, your neighbors, your friends. Visit BIOS in Albuquerque and see how shopping local supports your New Mexico community.
Back at the lab, New Mexico taking the lead just before the break. Chris Wehan notching his second goal of the evening. Tyler Ortega here alongside Chris Hurst. It's halftime presented by Smith's, fresh for everyone. As we get into some of our halftime programming here, let's look now at the standings. This was the table coming into tonight's game. So there you see New Mexico in the number 5 spot, just below the playoff line. But the live table, Chris, with New Mexico United in the lead right now, would see them in 4th.
Yeah, New Mexico United, as it stands, up to 46 points, meaning Rio Grande Valley know that later on they have to win if they want to make it in the playoffs, if this result stands.
Rio Grande Valley will be taking on El Paso, kicking off in just about half an hour, so make sure to keep an eye on that. Now moving along to our news and notes from around the league, the USL and the Players Association have ratified a 5-year deal that increases player investment and improves player experience. The USL also introducing pronoun numbers packs for 2021. The first of its kind program will provide gender-affirming environments, and Loudoun FC appointing a new executive business officer. He was the former COO of Reno Aces, bringing some prior experience in the USL Championship to the club. The halftime stats, Chris, this is what it looks like after the first 45. New Mexico, 4 shots, all 4 of those on target, 60% possession, but Monarchs are right in this one.
Yeah, it's an interesting one there. I mean, possession, New Mexico United tend to have a lot of the ball at home, but the shots, Real Monarchs have come to play. They've come to play spoiler. They've had a couple of half opportunities, like little half chances that didn't really materialize into anything, but New Mexico United is not comfortable at this point, that's for sure.
Moving on now, let's take a look at some scores around the league. Now we see Charlotte Independence with a 1-0 win over Loudoun. The Miami FC falling to the Riverhounds 1-0. Monarchs dropping to RGV on Wednesday 3-1. And Memphis 3-2 over FC Tulsa.
As you step onto the field, you step into your purpose. You step strong. You step hard. Con toda la fuerza de mujer. You step up.
There's hit on the line! Oh, he put it in! A magnificent strike! You go down, you come back, and you find a way.
Tell me how you gon' feel. Goes top. I mean, yeah, let's talk about today we're gonna go top.
Roll it down.
I am.
You don't need a car to listen to Sirius XM. You can listen anywhere. You know that, right?
What? Kevin Hart's Laugh Out Loud Radio.
Kevin, you could use your phone.
What? What?
Alexa, play Kevin Hart's Laugh Out Loud Radio on Sirius XM.
What?
This is how I know you're getting old. I guess that was it.
What?
I am a first-generation student here at Bellevue University. I feel like if I were to have gone to a different university, my experience would have been a lot more stressful and overwhelming, because I feel like I wouldn't have gotten that personal experience that Bellevue University has to offer.
Yeah, hey, how you gon' feel when I take it? How you gon' feel when I take it? We about action. We about action. Tell me how you gon' feel.
There's hit on the line! Oh, he put it in! A magnificent strike! You go down, you come back, and you find a way.
Tell me how you gon' feel.
In the 20 Year's Choice Awards from the Albuquerque Journal, Sandia Resort and Casino was voted Albuquerque's favorite casino. Best customer service, best entertainment venue, best slot machines and poker room, best variety of table games, best rewards program, and best golf course. Best buffet, favorite nightclub, favorite casino. Albuquerque, you deserved the best. Sandia Resort and Casino, close to home, far from ordinary.
In New Mexico, we know true beauty, true adventure, true color, and true culture. Home to the artists, the warriors, and the multi-generational, multiracial, all-inclusive family that we call the United. This is New Mexico United, and New Mexico United is New Mexico True.
Welcome back to the lab. It is the season finale. New Mexico playing for a playoff berth. They need to win tonight, and they also need some help from El Paso in their match against RGV. You're getting a look at some of the supporter-made tifo. You see some for every single player. There's even one for Troy Lesane. You see Kalen Ryden, Mondo Moreno. Popular design among these tifo, Chris, is the Amando / Mandalorian crossover that we see here pretty often. You see the golden helmet for Kalen Ryden. Really, really cool stuff from our supporters.
Yeah, we've got some talented supporters, that's for sure. I certainly wouldn't be able to pull one of those off.
Halftime highlights here, presented by TLC. Let's see how that first 45 shook out. It was a roller coaster, to say the least. We'll start things off here in the 17th minute, starting off with the opener. It was Daniel Bruce playing it across to Chris Wehan. There we see the Monarchs defenders asking for offside. They don't get the call.
Yeah, they don't get the call. It was very, very close. If not, yeah, I can see why they're upset. You see Chris Wehan is ahead of the play for sure there. Great first touch by Daniel Bruce. Completely takes the defender out of the game. Unselfish, rolls the ball across. Chris Wehan pops it into an empty net.
And Chris Wehan, he's just getting started on the day. He's already your leading scorer. He's had 8 goals scored in black and yellow this season, coming into this one, where he's already added on a couple more. This is his brother, Charlie Wehan, firing the shot at Alex Tambachis. It ricochets, and then it's tapped home by the New Zealander, Max Mata.
You see a little deflection off Ryden there, just makes it where Tambachis can't gather it in, and Mata always sniffing around, as good goal scorers do, sniffing around looking for any kind of rebound, and pops that one in after Tambachis spills it.
And just before the stroke of halftime, it was it was Andrew Tenari winning the penalty, and then Chris Wehan slotting home on the ensuing penalty kick. Thus, New Mexico taking the lead in stoppage time. The brace.
B-Dub's new crispy hand-breaded classic chicken sandwich plus fries for $5.99 is made live in a real-life sports bar with live, non-virtual friends. This is real life. So real it's $5.99 for a limited time. Buffalo Wild Wings.
This one's for every sports fan who just spent the entire game explaining to someone the entire game. You've compromised enough. Pepsi Zero Sugar.
The Red or Green event in Sunday at American Home Furniture and Mattress. Shop now for hot buys and cool deals on the largest selection of in-stock furniture in New Mexico. Plus, we guarantee delivery for Thanksgiving. Get entertainment ready with our huge selection of in-stock dining with 5-piece sets starting at just $549 and in-stock sofas starting at just $449. American Home Furniture and Mattress. We guarantee you'll pay less.
We've all been waiting for the great unpause. But what if we took this moment to see our old lives as something new, something bigger than routine, something better than back to normal? Because moving forward, what we used to call just everyday life is what we'll celebrate every day. This will be the greatest comeback. Collect all 6 signature bottles, win all summer. Learn more at ultracomeback.com.
Get your associate's degree in 17 months with C&M Online. A fast degree, no hidden fees, books included, all at an affordable price. All of your courses can be completed online. Take the next step in your career. Get your degree from C&M Online.
Second 45 coming your way here from the lab. Tyler Ortega, Chris Hurst here on the call on ESPN+. And Chris, all or nothing for New Mexico here tonight. You're either winning and hoping for some results to go your way later on this evening, or you're not winning and you're packing up.
Yeah, and so far so good, right? You know, there was a shaky moment there for New Mexico United in the 40th minute with Real Monarchs tying it up. But yeah, halftime score 2-1 there, and you got to say, you know, New Mexico United would snap your hand off now to just finish like this, although I'm sure the talk will be, can they get that insurance goal?
Yeah, and, you know, it's never great to enter the final day of the regular season without control over your own path to the postseason, but this isn't a scenario that's unfamiliar to the black and yellow. If you remember back to the final match day in 2019, the first season in club history, New Mexico were facing Las Vegas Lights here to wrap up the campaign, and they needed some magic from Switchbacks, who had already been eliminated. Switchbacks were down 2-0. They were down a man at half. They came back to draw at Toyota Field against San Antonio. New Mexico won 2-0 over Lights, squeaking their way into the playoffs, where they ultimately lost at Sac Republic in that opening round. But New Mexico hoping that fortunes swing the same way here tonight.
Yeah, and New Mexico United and San Antonio, their paths always cross. It was that one where New Mexico United snuck in instead of San Antonio last season, the goal by Mr. Chris Wehan, where it may or may not have hit his arm on his way through into the penalty box in overtime, where he pops it away and gets the win for New Mexico United. Yeah, so it always seems to come down to those two, right? So yeah, if you're a New Mexico United fan, you're certainly hoping that lightning strikes twice.
Well, and you're about halfway there as you are in the lead here through the first 45, and that is the whistle for the second half. We're underway. New Mexico taking on Real Monarchs. This season finale. So, of course, as we mentioned, you need to win. You need El Paso to take care of business. But looking ahead, some playoff scenarios. So the way that the playoffs are lined out, it's number 4 in the Mountain would take on number 1 in the Pacific. So that means if New Mexico able to squeak in, they'll be heading out to face their good old buddies out in Phoenix.
Road trip, anyone?
I'll be there. Promise you that much. New Mexico and Phoenix playing a thriller out in the desert a couple of months ago. Ultimately, former New Mexico United winger Santi Moar putting the nail in the coffin of the black and yellow in that one. As Phoenix were victorious 3-2. There's a raucous crowd out there in Phoenix. Do have a nice new stadium out there. This is Chris Wehan. Wehan plays it over for Daniel Bruce. Bruce tried to squeak it through for Illich, but The veteran knew he was offside, thus no attempt. Ball skips away and it goes to Alex Tambachis. And it looks like we've got a sub in for Real Monarchs at the half. Suba has entered for Monarchs. And just off of first glance, it looks like it was for Wehan. So that substitution brought to you by RADW CPAs and advisors. There's no substitution for integrity. So Yekasun Suba, 17 years old is Suba, was born February 13th, 2004. That is incredible. So it was like 2004, like 2 weeks ago. This is Sergio Rivas. Gets it back off the deflection. Rivas, again, this one played out by Brown.
2004, that's when I moved to the land of enchantment.
Incredible to see some of the talent in this Real Monarchs system. This is Yearwood hustling to get to it. He does and plays it in, but Duznup is there.
Mexico United there, you can see Duznup straight away just tries to lump it down the field, but Real Monarchs did have the 2v2, and that's obviously not a situation that most teams like to be in defensively. So New Mexico United bombing players on, trying to get that third goal early on here, but need to be a little wary of the counter-attack. It looks like Suba's got a lot of pace going the other direction.
It's Daniel Bruce. This is Rivas now. Rivas cuts it back, was looking for the run of Chris Wehan. It just never came.
Monarchs have completely changed their formation here in the second half as well. Just going straight up 4-4-2. Mike Bassett style. If you haven't seen that movie, you'll not get that reference there. Sorry, Tyler. Might be a bit before your time, mate. But Flores has just dropped into left back here and just gone, yeah, straight flat back four. And going straight up with two up top. But yeah, it's an interesting one. See if New Mexico United do anything to tweak. It looks like Bruce is the highest out of the midfield guys, trying to give some support to Ilya Ilic as well.
Dancing around in the midfield. It's Halsey. Back for Brown. Played back to Kyle Adams. And an interesting point that you made, Chris, when you and I were talking at the half off the air, as Suggs has to come up big defensively, he does. But New Mexico, when you look at this bench, Sam Hamilton, David Najam, Alex Toos, Justin Schmidt, Salih Muhammad, Mikey Azira, and Philip Beigel, not one attacker waiting in the wings for Troy Lesesne. Yearwood crosses, falls, here's Rivas, and deflects off of Adams.
Yeah, it does mean, obviously, there's still options for Troy Lesesne. It just means, it's not an obvious, it's not like you could bring, if Sandoval was fit, you could bring Sandoval on to replace Ilic or something like that. You would have to move people around, but obviously if that's a change, then maybe Wehan can move a little higher. But with David Najem on the bench, Salih Muhammad, he can lock up the midfield, same as Azira with his experience could lock up the midfield. It all depends on what's going on in the game, what Coach Lesesne might try and do. But yeah, there's no straight swaps. If they're chasing a goal, it will have to be bringing someone on for fresh legs, then moving someone who's already on the field into a more attacking position, really.
Offside flag is up on Suba. Suba, no goals this season. Only notched a couple of shots on the year. Suba making his 7th appearance on the season He's got 4 starts. He's been subbed off in 3 of them. Coming into this game, played 245 minutes on the year. Guzman was looking for Suggs. Rivas is going to be called for the foul. Not very excited about that was Rivas, trying to plead his case to our official, Eligio Araguin. The 2021 season comes to a conclusion when the USL Championship Final takes center stage. Watch as a new champion is crowned on Sunday, November 28th on ESPN and ESPN Deportes, or listen on SiriusXM FC channel 157. So you heard that right, ladies and gentlemen. The Cup Final on the mothership. This one played back. Brown, Tambachis with the big save. Alex Tambachis coming up monstrous once again for New Mexico.
And it was huge that he managed to keep a hold of that, because Suba was lurking, just waiting again to pop in any rebound he gives up. Just comes out, first time shot, gets down. That was past him. He gets down so well and keeps a hold of it. Yeah, you can see that was basically past him. It was a lot, full stretch Tambachis. And great save.
I think if New Mexico are able to win this match, that will be your save of the match. Tambachis goes full extension, and that may just be the save that keeps New Mexico's season alive. We'll have to wait and see. "36 minutes and change remaining here at the lab. Tete battling with Suba there. Orozco rises up to head that one away. There's Guzman. He looks to have recovered from the hard shot that he took earlier. There's Tete. Suba goes to goal. Tambachis eventually out to gather that one. Kyle Adams playing that into the midfield. Torres unable to corral it. Here's Wehan. Gets it back from Sergio Rivas. Yearwood, the North Carolina native. Yearwood is looking for Illich there in the midfield and played that pass straight to Sam Brown. Here's Duznup now. Slips as he sends that goal kick away. It doesn't matter. Suba called for offside anyway. And we're going to see a substitution coming on here for New Mexico. It's going to be Salih Muhammad replacing Andrew Tenari. That substitution brought to you by REDW CPAs and advisors. There's no substitution for integrity. So, Chris, a like-for-like switch there with Muhammad replacing Andrew Tenari.
Yeah, that's an interesting one, especially 55 minutes as well. You know, if you were going to make that change, I would assume that maybe right at half-time, Tenari going to the bench there. I mean, not sure I don't know who's ever thrilled when they get pulled off, but maybe he's carrying a little knock or something like that.
Or perhaps Troy Lesane remembering the banger that Salih Muhammad scored on this goal against this Real Monarchs team just a month ago. Here's Illich. Tried to squeak it through for Suggs, but Duznup comes out to gather it. And no, the foul is going to be called a little bit up the field. It was Adams going to ground, and that is Adams on your screen. Fiesta Auto Group free kick as Adams upset with the official, it looked like.
That was just an awkward turn of events there. It seemed like the assistant referee there put his flag up after the centre had already called for offside, or maybe it was because of a free kick. Yeah, it was just a really interesting couple of seconds there.
Here's Chris Wehan. Wehan crosses, finds Illich, taps it to Bruce, lays it off. Mohammed skies that one onto the concourse, perhaps looking to replicate his worldie that he scored.
Well, I got to tell you, that's what popped into my head when I saw Daniel Bruce set it back to Salim Mohammed there. The first thing that popped in my head is, it couldn't be, could it? And it wasn't. The people on the concourse were in more danger there, unfortunately, but decent little play. Chris Wehan at full sprint. He is a tough one to handle, and Adams had his hands full there. Ball into the back post, really composed play by Illich there, where he just drops it back to Bruce. Thought Bruce could have hit the shot again, but Bruce showing how much he's grown as well. He's certainly not maybe as selfish as what he was in previous seasons, and he sets it back to Mohammed, and unfortunately just gets that a little bit wrong.
Daniel Bruce played his college ball at UNC Charlotte. So fun fact, I was texting with Brucey a couple days ago, and 4 years ago, Daniel Bruce played against the University of New Mexico men's soccer team just across the street. I was able to call that game. So it's fun just connecting the dots, seeing how some of these paths have traveled over the past few years, and New Mexico United, what they've done in terms of just bringing people together. That's just a small story, but if you talk to the near 10,000 people here in the crowd tonight, I'm sure they'd be the first to tell you that this is so much more than a soccer team. Get to hang out with people like you, Chris.
That almost sounded sincere.
So nearly 2/3 of the match gone by. Loose ball here. This is Suba. Cuts it back. A wall of black and yellow in front of him. Torres now spreads for Flores. The offside flag is up.
That AR on the near side there is earning his money in the second half. Real Monarchs definitely trying to play in the space behind New Mexico United's back four, looking for that through ball, looking for that ball over the top, trying to use their pace in behind there.
New Mexico, we know they like to play quick off of these free kicks. Perhaps not so inclined to play quick with a 1-goal lead here. As we cross into the 61st minute, Tyler Ortega, Chris Hurst here on hand on ESPN Plus, Estrella TV. Thanks for hanging out. This is the 2021 regular season finale. New Mexico need to win to keep their season alive. They need to win, and they also need some help from El Paso, who are needing to win their match against RGV, which actually should be starting here in about the next 10 minutes. So as of right now, with that RGV match still to play, New Mexico sitting in 4th place in the Mountain Division. That is good enough to see them into the playoffs. But again, all eyes will be on RGV El Paso once this one ends. Ball chip forward for Suggs. Can he get there? He does. Suggs crosses in. And that, a huge slide by Kyle Adams. Bruce was waiting to tap that home.
Yeah, great defending by Adams. I think great save by Dusnup. That was sneaking in the near post as well there. Had to get something on it. Just got that deflection. Great reactions though did a great job. You see the ball just checks up, allows Suggs great early ball. And that's one of those that as you're sliding as a defender, you see the touch you got, and while you're still sliding, he's probably saying to himself, oh no, and Goosenup bails him out there, but he had to get there.
Suggs played that one in. It's blocked by Saucedo off the corner, and then Kalen Ryden taps it in. And no, they're going to say, just kidding. Ryden just missed. The curse is going crazy. They think it's a goal. Apologize, it was hard to tell from our angle up here.
Yeah, it just hit the stanchion behind, which made it look like it hit the back of the net and rolled along the back of the net. But yeah, everyone in the crowd was going crazy. You can see the capos with the curse saying no goal. Yeah, that was an optical illusion there for everyone.
Optical illusion for myself and as well as, you know, we're up here in the press boxes. Even on that angle, you said it hit the stanchion.
And it just catches the net as well, so it just makes the net ripple a little bit.
Wow, Kalen Ryden, what a way that would have been to score your goal here this season. Would have been his second on the campaign. Ryden scored his first goal at the Lab earlier this season here. It was a header. A goal that New Mexico are currently defending. His first and only goal scored at the Lab in his 2 years in black and yellow. So we have officially received word. It is a 100% sellout here tonight for the season finale. 9,570 fans here at the Lab tonight, Chris. It's a beautiful night for some footy. Yes, Auto Group free kick. This is Weehan delivering, lofts it back post. Ryden plays it back across the box there, and Ryden is now going to be called for the foul. So just over 25 minutes plus stoppage time remain in this one. Muhammad is fouled in the midfield. Salih Muhammad, the Bay Area native, fouled there by Brett Halsey. Brett Halsey went to Potomac Falls High School in Sterling, Virginia, a 21-year-old. It's Halsey getting a touch to it. Now Torres cuts it back. Here's Leo Torres. Suba was asking for it and gets it perhaps a second too late as he is dispossessed by Suggs. Somehow no foul called on either side. Here's Brown. Plays it across. Here's Flores now. Daniel Flores on the left foot. Tries to cross it. And he's stuffed by Austin Yearwood.
Yeah, Wood, great defending there, and he gets the foul as well, so it's the, and one, but yeah, just doesn't bite too early, stays on his feet, forces Flores to try and beat him, which Austin Yearwood was up to the task there.
Yearwood has played remarkably defensively here this season. We saw him really come into his own in the 2020 season, Chris. We only had one bad game in the previous campaign, and that was against Phoenix Rising. But other than that, it's hard to find a weak spot in Yearwood's game.
Yeah, for sure. He's got all the attributes of a, can go very far in this game. He's athletic, he reads the game well, score goals from defense as well, which is always a nice little touch as well.
Yearwood with a goal of the week winner here on this pitch earlier this season against San Antonio FC. That was in the first meeting here at the lab between those two sides. So off of that foul, sets up a Fiesta Auto Group free kick for the visitors. Delivering this one, it's Leo Torres. Torres on loan from San Antonio FC. Moved over in late September to Real Monarchs. So this free kick finds the waiting hands of Alex Tambachis.
That was a really high line held by New Mexico United there, but that's what Tambachis wants. So he has all that space to run into and do his defenders a favour there and just come and collect and show nice cool head there.
Getting pulled back there and very frustrated with the AR on the near side. This ball played forward. Here's Chris Wehan. Wehan just sends it wide. And Wehan on the ground in the 18. That's not the sight you want to see if you're New Mexico. Wehan, the run looked to have gotten a little bit out of control there towards the end of it.
Wehan's first touch, though, you'll see his first touch, little 1-2 here or there. When he plays in, his first touch just takes Adams out of the game. It has a little, clips his ankles a little bit. He looks like could have gone down, goes for the shot. And who's that flying across at the last second there?
Salcedo, it looked like.
Salcedo, yeah, he wasn't taking any prisoners there as well. So hopefully no major damage done there. But that was a pretty clumsy and a pretty heavy challenge he took there. Advantage played by the referee, but I think Wehan, that was a PK if he'd gone down right at the edge of the box there when Adams just clipped his heels.
Wehan receiving treatment from the trainer, that's Tyler Harris. 2-1 win, New Mexico. I say this chuckling, probably happy to be on the other side of some time wasting here at the lab this season, Chris. We've seen this plenty of time from visiting teams, and not saying it's time wasting, but perhaps a little bit of gamesmanship. But in all seriousness, we do hope that Chris Wehan is okay, and looks to be okay, gets up to his feet. A little bit of a limp there for the West Coast native. Looks like Lassane may be ready for another substitution. Over at the technical area, we can see Michael Azira, the Ugandan, starting to warm up, or finishing warm-ups, we should say. He's hanging out over by the fourth official. So it sounds like it's going to be Azira replacing Guzman, so another like-for-like switch there in the midfield for Lassane. Long ball played for Yekasun Suba. Suba unable to keep that one in play. And now we see the sub, and it is Michael Azira, the veteran, over 130 MLS appearances for Azira on this season. Receiving some final word from the gaffer, Troy Lassane, is the Colombian Juan Pablo Guzman checks out, and a full 70-minute shift for Guzman that was. Bruce is going to be called for the foul. So it looks like Monarchs may be preparing for a double change. We'll wait to see when that happens. Here's Salcedo. New Mexico not out of the woods yet. They do lead 2-1 here, 72nd minute. It's a brace from Chris Wehan, 17th minute, and then 2 minutes into first half stoppage from the spot. Goal scorer for Real Monarchs, Max Mata, New Zealander. That is your goal rundown so far. Goes over the head of Ilya Illich.
Still really tense, isn't it? You can tell that the atmosphere again in the crowd. You can hear the Curse trying to do their best to cheer New Mexico United on, but it's a very tense atmosphere here at the Lab right now.
Tense indeed. These fans know that not only do the boys in black and yellow need a win, but also El Paso needs to win in that one, as Suba has been shown yellow. That is the first yellow card of the night. Yellow cards brought to you by Roadrunner Law Firm. When you've been fouled in a car crash, call your legal home team, Roadrunner Law Firm. But again, as we were saying, El Paso RGV, they have kicked off. They are in the 2nd minute so far. So subs here, it looks like it's going to be Jude Wellings and Ibrahim Banche. Those substitutions brought to you by REDW CPAs and advisors. There's no substitution for integrity. New Mexico against Real Monarchs hold a 2-0-0 record here at the Lab. As we alluded to, the 5-2 drubbing back in 2019 and then the 2-1 win just over a month ago. Overall in the series, New Mexico holding the all-time advantage, 7-2-0 against the Monarchs. There's been no draws between these two sides in 9 meetings.
I can't believe you just said that.
I'm just pointing out the stats. Here's Tete playing this one long, looking for Illich.
It's a great touch.
Illich has shown twice the great touch he has, and Rivas, was he able to hold his run? No, he was not. And that has to be incredibly frustrating, as Rivas had the entire line to look down. And so now
several players just lying down in the middle of the field here. One, no, I can't tell who that is for New Mexico United. Is that Wehan?
Johnson on the floor for Monarchs. Wehan,
that's a worry,
down for New Mexico. As we take another look here at this TLC replay, and there immediately you see Malik Johnson go to ground. But that is not good for the black and yellow. Wehan rips off his shin pad that he had taped underneath his sock.
I'm sure that's from the tackle earlier on from that chance, and he's tried to run it off and just not able to do it. Yeah, there's the sign there saying he's going to be coming off. Looks like it's maybe David Najem coming on for him. Be a reshuffle for New Mexico United either way, as we spoke about earlier with the subs that they have at their disposal. One of the guys already on the field will have to move up into Wehan's spot.
So Chris Wehan will limp off. 2 goals to his name here. He did everything he could for the black and yellow. I think you're right. It looks like David Najem receiving some instruction from assistant coach Zach Prince over at the New Mexico technical area. Gives a hug to Wehan, and David Najem will enter. The Afghan international David Najem was the first mid-season signing in New Mexico United history when the club brought him back earlier this year. Also entering the match, another defensive change, Justin Schmidt. So Lassane looks like he's going to really pack it in here for the final 15 minutes. In terms of attackers, you've really got Ilya Illich. Maybe Bruce.
Najem is definitely playing out of position. He's basically playing as one of those guys just behind Illich right now. Technically, I guess Troy Lassin would say it's 3 at the back, but it really is a 5 with 2 holding midfielders in front as well. So yeah, I think New Mexico United really trying to shut up shop now and try and finish the game 2-1.
Justin Schmidt dispossessed. Here come Monarchs. Plays the cross over to the 6, and Suggs plays it out, and immediately the substitute, Justin Schmidt, dispossessed, and that was very dangerous for Real Monarchs.
It's always a worry when you come on, and how quickly can you get up to the speed of the game, and yeah, that was a little shaky moment for New Mexico United here.
And a yellow card shown to the sideline of Real Monarchs. Perhaps Jamison Olave just had something to say to the 4th official. So Bank of America corner kick. This one goes in, bouncing around, and it's cleared away momentarily. It's going to be another corner coming up for Real Monarchs. So New Mexico holding on. It's a 2-1 lead, 78th minute. Delivery comes in, headed away by Kalen Ryden. Nervy moments here at the lab. Almost 10,000 people on hand. Comes in there from Halsey. That's Jamison Olave, who went into the book. That yellow card brought to you by Roadrunner Law Firm. So New Mexico winning the throw-in. So we mentioned RGV El Paso kicking off minutes ago. Well, don't look now if you're a United fan. The Toros out in front early from the penalty spot. It's 1-0 as they enter the 9th minute there. But you know, Chris, at the end of the day, if New Mexico United win and if RGV win and they somehow get that playoff spot over the black and yellow, New Mexico has nowhere else to look but in the mirror for putting themselves in this position. There was plenty of matches as you look through this season. The defeat here at home to Loudoun, the 0-0 draw with Austin Bolt twice. A run of tough results there in the middle of the season, going 6 consecutive without a win. All of that culminating to this.
That's the point right there. That stretch where they really did struggle to get on the winning side of things again. That is ultimately why it is so tight. You know, there's obviously no guarantees which way this is going to go, but that's why it's so tight right now.
Brown plays this one in, header towards Tambachis, and that's no big deal there for the Greek goalkeeper. '81st minute. New Mexico need to win. They need RGV to not win for the black and yellow to be in the playoffs, to book their date with Phoenix Rising next weekend. And at Wild Horse Pass,
I get a feeling that the RGV El Paso game is going to be one of the most watched games, because as soon as this game is over, I feel like there's probably going to be 9,000 plus people tuning into ESPN Plus for that one too.
Long ball played forward. Daniel Bruce is through. The flag stays down. Bruce chips the keeper, and Daniel Bruce has scored his 3rd goal of the season, and that should be the insurance goal for New Mexico. The black and yellow may have locked up a playoff spot with that goal right there.
What a great finish by Brucey there. Ball from nothing, really. The goal came from nothing. There was no real pressure, anything like that. Just an aimless through ball almost. And Bruce just runs onto it, watches the keeper come off his line, And just so it was almost nonchalant, just lobs it over on one bounce into the net. Great finish.
Daniel Bruce, the Englishman, could not have picked a better time to score his third goal of the campaign, the third goal of the night for New Mexico. How about that outside of the boot chip over the keeper? Put it in the Louvre.
Wait, what? that was a great finish though. Right? That first bounce, because his first touch, he actually missed the ball, it looks like. So to stay calm and just be able to pull out that finish that he just did there, that's the insurance goal, like you said, that New Mexico United's been looking for. I feel that this atmosphere is going to change into a little more boisterous, depending on how much people are aware of the scores around going on down at Head Park.
Speaking of scores at HEB Park, take a look at the top right corner of your screen, as we've got a live score. Kalen Ryden ripping one. He saw Dusenap off his line, just unable to get that over the head of the 17-year-old. But you mentioned what's going on at HEB Park. 12th minute RGV on top of El Paso. Again, New Mexico need a victory from the Locos. And again, the Locos, it's not like they're just going out there and going through the motions in this final match of the regular season. If El Paso wins and Phoenix lose tonight, El Paso able to take over the #1 overall seed in the Western Conference, meaning that the road to the USL Cup would flow through Southwest University Park should they get to the conference final. So El Paso far from out of it down there in that one. RGV at home against the Locos. Salcedo now, Colombian, plays the cross in, was looking to connect up top with Eris Briggs. And there you can see, or you can't see, the curse, the smoke bombs being lit off. A very, very still night wind-wise. Thus the smoke just lingering above the pitch. Looks a little spooky, Chris. Almost like it's Halloween time.
I was just thinking
spooky season here at the lab.
Just thinking the same thing. But yeah, but very similar to the San Antonio game. We actually had to pause the game in the San Antonio game because it was so heavy. But it looks like, I think that was multiple smoke bombs going off. This looks like it's just one, and it's not nearly as bad as that evening. But definitely the curse are in full voice at this moment.
There's a giveaway of Dia de los Muertos flags at the entry points for tonight's match from New Mexico United. So you're seeing a sea of black and yellow waving above the fans. 85th minute. Tyler Ortega, Chris Hurst here along for the ride. New Mexico on top, 3-1 over Real Monarchs. Throw in there for the visitors. Let's go up for Halsey. Halsey now looking to go on a run, poked out by Michael Azira. And you're going to go back and call the foul against Najum. Did get a tug of the kit. Here's Salcedo. Turning with that one, it's the goal scorer, Max Mata. Banche, back for Salcedo. Poke forward, Suva turns, trying to outrun Justin Schmidt. And Schmidt comes up with the block. The wide frame of Justin Schmidt, Albuquerque native. Schmidt looks like he could suit up and play linebacker. Cross goes into the box. Some defending to do here for the black and yellow. Falls back. Adams now crosses. Nobody home for that one. Bonche. Brown plays this one over. Wellings. Couple step overs there from Halsey. Here's Brown. Spreads it, does Brown. For Bonche, getting it back. There in the midfield. There's Wellings. New Mexico anchoring down defensively, trying to see this match out. Less than 3 minutes of the 90 remain plus stoppage. Yearwood goes to ground, and the foul is called. Austin Yearwood drawing the Fiesta Auto Group free kick. Called for that foul there was Brett Halsey. Another update from HEB Park. Still 1-0. 18th minute, RGV on top of El Paso. Here's Bonche. And that one goes over Rashid Tete. Tambachis has to come out to gather, and he does.
Suba, he's been a handful since he came on. He loves running the channels. It looks like he's got a pace to burn as well. So New Mexico United, they almost seem like they've just dropped off an extra 5-10 yards to kind of take that space away behind them there.
You know, in earlier parts of this season, through the middle part of the season, holding a lead like this over the final 10-15 minutes was Lissane's men's kryptonite. But they're doing it here tonight, and they're executing very well as the foul is called there on it. Salih Muhammad, he is frustrated, picking up the yellow. Sam Brown drawing the foul.
Salih Muhammad was definitely not holding back there in letting the referee know his disagreement with the decision, right? And I must admit, my first reaction was it was a great tackle. But I'm guessing, obviously, the referee's a lot closer. I'm guessing maybe he went over the top of the ball, something like that. But yeah, it seemed like a fair tackle, but definitely Salih Muhammad thinks that way.
Salih Muhammad goes into the book with a yellow card, brought to you by Roadrunner Law Firm. When you've been fouled in a car crash, call your legal home team, Roadrunner Law Firm. So with the 90 minutes coming to a close, we've been notified that there are 5 minutes of New Mexico Pinon coffee stoppage time. Great coffee is a matter of opinion. Yeah, sad kind of thinking that it's going to be the last time I'll get to say that this season.
I can't believe I'm still giggling over a year later at that one as well.
I'll tell you, New Mexico Pinon Coffee definitely getting their money's worth with that sponsorship there. So there's the announcement of the 5 added minutes. So New Mexico looking to see this one out as we peer over at RGV El Paso. 20th minute, the Toros still on top 1-0. Saucedo, the Colombian. And that ball given away in the midfield. Salih Muhammad is fouled. Not fouled, excuse me, is slid into there by Brown. The official says it was a clean challenge. Here's Brown. Saucedo now. Saucedo lofted that one into the box, and Tambachis has no issues there.
Ilya Ilic, he's done a lot of running like away from the ball to drive defenders around. You know, I'd guess he's probably not going to be the player with the most touches this year. He goes with another one potentially, but he's done so much running. Just watching his body language, he is spent. He's got nothing left. He is giving it all tonight for the team.
Which, you know, Ilya Ilic, it would have been easy for him to come in these last few games and just kind of go through the motions, given how little playing time he saw throughout this season. But He's stepped up in some really big moments. The equalizer in the dying moments against San Diego Loyal, followed that up with a goal against San Antonio here at the Lab last week. And that just goes to show, you know, Troy Lesesne, he's got a lot of veterans on this roster, a lot of guys that are proven in this USL. Ilya Illich showing why he was added to this roster during the offseason.
Yeah, for sure. And some of the touches he's shown tonight, it's touches that side of the game that we really haven't necessarily seen. We see him, you know, heads and chests, you know, with his back to goal. He's plucked the ball out of the air a couple of times tonight. Absolutely beautifully.
And touch. So soft from the savvy veteran there once again. This one goes forward for Yearwood. Yearwood able to keep that one alive. Here's Austin Yearwood. Yearwood goes to ground. Kyle Adams not having any of that there from Yearwood. Yearwood so calm, so cool under pressure. That's what Lesesne had to say about him after the presser against San Antonio. So that's why we keep Austin in. He's so cool. Here's Bruce. Falls to the Englishman atop the 18, but he's dispossessed. Oh, and a great turn there from Suba. The visitors looking to pull one back. Suba crosses, and the shot blasted into the picnic pavilion. 90 seconds remain. Monarchs players asking for a corner kick. They're not going to get it as Tambachis takes his time setting this one up for the goal kick. Just over 60 seconds of the allotted 5 minutes remaining in stoppage time. New Mexico have taken care of business themselves. Now all eyes turn to El Paso to see if they can lend a helping hand. Bruce still giving chase here to Banche. And that's just the type of player Daniel Bruce is. He's going to give you 110% every single second.
He's seen a lot of minutes at the back end of this season, and yeah, the amount of effort and his attitude just shows he epitomizes New Mexico United, right?
The crowd, they weren't booing, they were yelling Bruce. The Englishman, certainly a fan favorite here amongst the black and yellow faithful. You said it yourself, he embodies everything this club stands for: hard work, humility, and diligence. The three pillars that Troy Lesesne constantly preaches. And that's the full-time whistle at the Lab. New Mexico victorious, putting themselves into the playoff position with a win here against Real Monarchs. But it's not done yet. Keep an eye, El Paso and RGV. El Paso need to beat the Toros for the black and yellow season to continue. So Chris, quick takeaways from this one here tonight.
Job done. New Mexico United all have done exactly what they needed to do, which is give themselves a chance. Now, like you said earlier, all eyes turn to Texas now.
So we'll go ahead and now take a look here at the play of the match. There's really no question. As we see Chris Wehan exchanging some handshakes. Chris Wehan with a couple of goals here today. This is your play of the match. It was the opening goal by Wehan, 17th minute. That was his 9th in black and yellow this season, further extending his lead as the club's all-time leading scorer.
Great first touch there by Daniel Bruce, who just slots it across and who pops up at the back post. But Chris Wehan, he doesn't miss chances like that.
And now for the player of the match, look no further. That man again, Chris Wehan, bees with the brace. 27 career goals. Scored that one that you see from the spot in the 47th minute. You know, and we had 2 goals. This was hard to pick. Bruce had a goal and an assist as well. So those 2 guys really getting it done. And this here, the save of the match presented by Positive Energy Solar. Generate positive energy. It was Alex Tambachis. I called that one, Chris. I said if New Mexico hang on, that's going to be the save of the match.
Yeah, for sure you did. And that ball was past Tambachis there, I swear, and he just manages to claw it out there. So great save by Tambachis. And you know, it was a huge moment in the game right there.
So New Mexico took care of what they could, and now some full-time handshakes here at the lab as all eyes again turn to El Paso RGV, who are currently playing right now, 27 minutes in. The Toros on top 1-0. We're going to go ahead and step aside for just a minute. We'll be back to wrap things up one last time here at the lab this season.
B-Dub's new crispy hand-breaded classic chicken sandwich plus fries for $5.99 is made live in a real-life sports bar with live, non-virtual friends. This is real life. So real it's $5.99 for a limited time. Buffalo Wild Wings.
This one's for all the parents whose idea of a big night out is a 15-minute drive to a takeout window.
For generations, we've watched the seasons change. My great-grandfather helped build this railroad. There's something special about fall in New Mexico. The aspens, cottonwoods, and oaks. There's nothing else like it, really.
Full time here at the lab. New Mexico victorious over Real Monarchs for the 3rd time this season, 3-1. Tyler Ortega here alongside Chris Hurst, as that is your final score tonight, presented by Duke City Cares, your medical family. Let's go ahead and jump into some full-time highlights presented by TLC. And Chris, it was a very action-packed match here tonight, starting things off. Perhaps, you know, some fans are asking, maybe there was an offsides, maybe there wasn't. Doesn't matter. Chris Wehan, 17th minute.
Yeah, Real Monarchs certainly thought it was offside, but the goal stood. Great touch by Bruce, rolls it into Wehan, popped into it. Great through ball here by Ilya Illich. Great first touch, and like I say, that man pops up at the back post again.
Yeah, and Daniel Bruce, that was something you mentioned there towards the full-time whistle. He's seen a lot of minutes on the back end of this season with injuries to some of the United defenders, Sam Hamilton, David Nadja missing some time, Harry Swartz as well. And this was the 2nd goal. It was Max Mata. This was the only time Real Monarchs would score here tonight.
Yeah, a little deflection by Ryden just means that Tambachis can't collect it cleanly, pops out, and Mata's there on hand to pop in the rebound.
And this, Chris Wehan from the penalty spot, going down to the right corner. Duzna guessed correctly, and the 17-year-old keeper conceded 3 here tonight, Chris, but again, showing why he's getting these minutes.
Yeah, I mean, especially in the first half, I think it could have been more if it wasn't for him. You know, he had a great game, and like I say, which you can't always say when you conceded 3, but the icing on the cake for New Mexico United here with Daniel Bruce. Through ball, doesn't touch it but once, and what a touch it was. Just lobs it over the goalkeeper, one bouncing in. Great goal for Brucey.
And to take one from you, that was class from the Englishman, Daniel Bruce. His 3rd goal of this season, which ultimately proved to be the nail in the coffin here for Real Monarchs. New Mexico victorious 3-1. So as we mentioned, United came into this one needing to win, and they also need Rio Grande Valley to not win. So El Paso RGV currently 30 minutes in. The Toros took the lead from the penalty spot in the first few minutes. So again, keep your eyes on that one. Switch over if you're on ESPN Plus, as New Mexico need El Paso to come through. So, Chris, that's going to do it for us here at the lab. Any final words on the 2021 season?
It's been a pleasure. It's great seeing fans back in the stadium, and yeah, all eyes on Texas right now.
It's been an absolute pleasure, my friend, sharing the broadcast booth with you here, especially tonight in front of a sellout crowd, 9,570 on hand as New Mexico victorious over Real Monarchs. We're going to get out of here and go watch RGV El Paso. So for everybody here tonight, for Windfire Productions, our director Gary Williams, Chris Hurst on color for the last time this season from the lab. My name is Tyler Ortega. Thank you for
the cast of the United Soccer League Championship cannot be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the expressed written consent of the United Soccer League Championship.